Detachment has not only made me a stronger person mentally, but it has also made me physically hotter. This is because attachment genuinely repels people. If I were to guess, you're most likely coming to this video or podcast fixated and obsessed with a situation that didn't turn out the way that you expected it to, and trust me girl, I have been there, okay? I've been exactly in your position before, which is why detachment has literally saved my life. But not only just learning detachment, learning that detachment is not just learning how to not care about things. The feelings you have are valid. The attachment you feel is valid. However, we can all agree that obsessing and fixating over situations that simply aren't benefiting us doesn't really work, and it doesn't really make us feel the best about ourselves. And no matter what you're feeling like, I can guarantee you that today's episode will give you a sense of relief from whatever disappointment you're feeling, whatever attachments that you need to heal, feeling fixated over a situation that has been past, that has been over with, being attached to the idea of someone instead of the actual reality they're showing you, or even that knowing moving on from a situation is the best for you, you just still can't get things out of your mind and you still feel so obsessed with why this happened. We're gonna go over detachment and not just pretending like you don't care, okay? Truly analyzing your attachments to the things in your life so that you can start on your healing journey. If you're new here, welcome or welcome back to the Improvement for Imbeciles podcast. I'm your host, Natalie, and this is where I share ways in which I'm getting my shit together so that you can get your shit together. And to all of my beautiful YouTube subscribers, I thought I'd start adding chapters in these videos so that if you have something specific that you want to learn about detachment, you can just skip to these timestamps to save you time. We're going to be going over a lot today because I have so much to say about detachment. It's something that's so central to my theme. I talk about it in almost every single video, but I haven't made a specific episode talking all about it yet. We're going to be covering it all, so be sure to subscribe and like this video if you'd like more content like this. Let's just get straight into talking about why we attach ourselves to things. Why do we attach ourselves to unavailability? And what's the science behind detachment making someone more attractive? I want you to think about this scenario, right? You have a crush on this person and they don't like you back. All of a sudden, you feel this surge of obsession. You want this person to want you, even though it's made it clear that, like, this person just doesn't like you. They're just not interested in you like that. And this is a very common scenario. You shouldn't feel silly for liking someone who doesn't like you back. In fact, it honestly doesn't even have anything to do with your individual worthiness as a person, but oftentimes that's what we make of it, right? We start hyper-focusing on ourselves and all of our perceived flaws that we already had before this person even came into our life. Why am I not good enough? Right? That's the main central idea to fixation on someone not liking you back. In order to truly understand how to detach immediately, you must recognize why you attach to things in the first place. This takes awareness. You need to look into the things that you are attached to. Firstly, we need to talk about how you mistake love for infatuation. You mistake someone giving you attention as a feeling of gratification for who you are and why you are worthy of things, which is why you seek out people who are a little bit harder to make like you, right? You like people who reflect back to you the insecurities that you feel within yourself. And that doesn't mean you don't like yourself or that this person is a bad person. It simply means that life is mirroring back to you your own inner state. Life being a mirror is a very essential topic to understand if you want to master detachment. Because when you realize life is what you make of it, life is not what you are experiencing, but it's what you're interpreting, you stop shaming yourself for being attached to people and places and experiences. And you start learning how to find solutions to this attachment, to this infatuation, rather than shaming yourself for it and making yourself feel stupid for ruminating on situations that you should technically be long over. You shouldn't be anywhere but where you are right now. Let's get that very clear. The feelings you are experiencing in the present moment are what you are meant to experience, period. Trying to resist it will only make it persist. The truth is, a crush is simply a lack of information and an obsession with gratifying our own egos. We use external validation or, trying to convince someone to like us back as a way to gratify our own sense of self and make ourselves feel worthy. But this will never truly satisfy us because the ego always wants more. Because the ways in which we grew up, the ways in which we were taught to feel inadequate about ourselves, we will seek out in other people. A lot of why you attach to the things you do in your day-to-day life goes back to your childhood. Doing shadow work can help you identify the specific parts of your childhood that you are attracting back into your life. If you're dealing with a situation similar to the one I described, you must recognize that even if you had this person, you wouldn't be in the place that you need to be in order to sustain that relationship or situation. You just perceive you wanting it because you mistake attachment and infatuation with what love actually is. You don't fall in love. You grow in love. And the second you realize this, you'll start to see people liking you back as a way to explore who this person is and what they're about. And you won't see it as this big, huge thing. Anyone who you find interesting will have to have some type of reciprocal quality. This unhealed energy within ourselves actually attracts people who mirror back to us those insecurities. So look at your interpretations of the attachments you have to things and you will learn how to detach from it. Let's move into talking about negative attachments versus positive attachments. Listen to me. It is not possible to be 100% detached all the time. And you don't want to be 100% detached all the time. The key is to start forming positive attachments rather than negative attachments. The more aware you are of why you attach yourselves to some things versus other things, the easier it will be to analyze if an attachment you have has become more negative or positive. I've been reading up on positive and negative attachments recently because I was one of those people who thought that I could just detach and not care. And this desire I had to just not care and to just detach from my emotions was actually very unhealthy. I started to numb myself out to the pain because what I was experiencing was being interpreted in a way that was through my own childhood trauma, through the ways I've been abandoned in life, through the ways that I've been hurt. Oftentimes we'll be like, oh, well, it's not even that deep. It is that deep. Okay, so don't invalidate yourself. Positive attachments are reward-driven patterns that help us achieve whatever we desire. For example, you want to make money, and so you make your money and you're not scared for the fact that you're going to get your paycheck, right? Instead, you're really excited. It's guaranteed money. You don't have to question if your job is going to pay you or not. You just know your job is going to pay you. You are secure in your relationship to receiving your paycheck. Now, the negative attachment forms when you start worrying about where you're going to spend that money. Negative attachments form when there is a lack mentality. It creates a fear around whatever we are trying to be attached to, right? So in a lot of cases, this is intimacy. This is where we're going to spend the money. This is if we have enough. You're not stressing about receiving the money itself because you know you worked the hours you worked, you're going to receive your paycheck. You're scared about where the paycheck is going to go. And so by being scared about where your money is going to go, you are creating this attachment to a reality where you experience lack because you are feeling that emotion of I'm not going to have. Energetically, your actions are preparing you for that negative experience. So in a relationship sense, someone might have a negative attachment to getting vulnerable with people. They assume that every single time they open up to someone, nobody really gets them. So even when they start to open up, if they feel any type of tinge of someone not caring or not paying attention to them, all of a sudden, all of these emotions of not being adequate will come to the surface. And obviously, we don't want these negative emotions, right? We don't feel good when we feel them. However, we have a negative attachment to that desired reality because it's the way we interpret life. You view the world through a lens that you are not good enough. Therefore, every action that someone doesn't like you or rejects you is viewed through that lens as confirming that negative belief you have. Great, Natalie. How do I detach from these attachments? I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to view my life through this jaded lens of not being good enough. And I still feel fixated on the situations in which I'm interpreting as painful, as hurtful. And you can validate the fact that those experiences were painful without invalidating who you are and your worth as a whole. There are multiple realities that are true. There are multiple things that you can validate that help you move forward. First step to detachment is to feel the emotion. You cannot move forward until you feel the thing that you have been avoiding. And if you try to, this experience will just show up over and over and over again in your life. you will repeat the same cycle because you are an energetic match for that reality that you are resisting so much. Identify where the attachment is and then visualize cord cutting. Doing a cord cutting meditation, especially if you're talking about a person or an experience you had, is so important because not only do you feel the emotion, but you physically remove the energy barrier between you and this situation or this person. I believe in soul ties and cord cutting and all of that because I have personally experienced what it's like to try to move on from a situation, but then attract the same exact thing into my life. And so if you can get into a deep state of meditation where you can physically remove that cord from you and this trauma or this thing you experienced, you genuinely feel lighter. You genuinely feel relieved because so much of who we are is our energy. And when you have all of this stuff that's weighing you down, you need to let it go in order to elevate. It is impossible to take the old you into your new reality. Not only is detachment essential for manifestation, it's necessary if you want to move on and live a better life. So much of manifestation isn't even getting things, it's learning how to let go of parts of you that never even resonated in the first place, but you were conditioned to believe that that is who you are. You are so much more than what you've been through and how people treat you. Number 2, develop perspective. When you see how a situation that occurred to you has shaped you as a person, you can start accepting that that experience has made you who you are today. You'll stop seeing it as something that is holding you down and start seeing it as something that has actually built you up. Even though it was painful and even though it was hard to go through, you can validate all of those things. You can say that you didn't deserve something while also recognizing the ways in which it's made you a better person. Bad things happen to good people, and that's life. I wish I could offer some type of solution for that, but let's all be real here. You didn't deserve that. Period. And if no one has ever told you that and validated that for you, I'm going to be the one to do that because you did not deserve that shit. But look at what it's done for you. Look at the person you are today. Look at how caring and considerate you are. Tell me why my power just went out. The entire time I've been making this video, there's been like so many technological errors. But life must go on, and I know this video is so good and I know I need to post it. Another thing, if you want to detach from someone almost immediately, let's say this is an ex, start making scenarios. Delulu is the Salulu, and this is what I mean by that. We naturally hypothesize and try to make up scenarios for why something happened. Your brain will automatically go to the worst case scenario. When something happens to you and you're ruminating on it because there's no definitive answer to why this thing happened, come up with the scenario that makes you feel the best about it. And this might sound a little silly, but what are you gonna do? Come up with the scenario that makes you feel the worst about it? That just doesn't make any sense. You already create all of these scenarios of, they just didn't like me because XYZ, and list off qualities about yourself that you don't like because you're insecure. Why don't you start going, oh, they didn't want this because they're insecure and they have to work on themselves. Stop taking things so personally and you'll start detaching from things a lot faster. You didn't get hired at that job? It wasn't meant for you. Your friend was fake to you? She showed her true colors. Your crush didn't like you back? Oh well, someone else will. Nobody is confident. They have to convince themselves to be confident because they choose to believe in the scenario that makes them feel the best about themselves, that makes them feel the most confident. Because what's saying, oh, I didn't get the job because I screwed up in the interview, what's that gonna do for you? When you truly believe that what is meant for you will be meant for you, it's so easy to just let things go because you already know you're bound for success. There's no doubt in your mind that you are worthy of love, affection, success, money, whatever you want. You are worth whatever you desire in life just because you have that desire. I also want to talk about negative scenario making because that can also help if you're like super fixated on a guy not liking you or having a falling out with a boyfriend or something like that. Literally just start imagining when you're thinking about texting them, they are literally texting someone else. Literally imagine them like making out with someone else. Make yourself get the ick with the scenarios that you come up with in your mind. And I promise you, you're not gonna text them. If you just truly believe like they are literally texting another girl right now, they are literally for the streets, they are literally doing XYZ, you will immediately get grossed out because like, ew, I would never treat myself like that. Knowing and being secure in the fact that you got your back is one of the best things you can do for yourself and actually detaching and letting go, because at the end of the day, you are deserving, you are worthy, and nothing can take that away. And the last thing, only you can decide to be happy. You can bring up all different types of scenarios of why you're not successful and why you're not doing the things that you want to do in life, but only you have the power to let those things go and let yourself be the person that you've always wanted to be. It's not that simple. It literally is. You just like to overcomplicate it because you're not comfortable with facing your shadow side. You're not comfortable in acknowledging the pain that you've caused yourself. When you keep ruminating and going back to situations and texting that person you know not to text, no shit, you're not gonna feel good about yourself because the choices you're making are not in alignment with the version of yourself that you want to become. Detach from that by choosing better. Choose to be a better person. Choose to do something that makes you uncomfortable. Choose to let them go and block them and move on. Detachment is a choice that you make. It's not something that feels comfortable. It's something that you have to train yourself to do. Being detached literally makes you more attractive because more people see that you have self-love, you have self-worth. You don't hold on to things or patterns that drag you down just because they feel familiar to you and safe. You choose to let go and you choose to live in alignment with who you truly are. And with that being said, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Improvement for Imbeciles podcast. Detachment is so important, y'all. Visualize yourself cutting yourself from this situation. This person does not deserve you. This situation is no longer beneficial to you. Mind the business that pays you. I love you guys so much. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and check out all my social medias. It helps with the algorithm, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.